Okay, Shalom. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Harakakwadash, and double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom to all the hopeful elect brothers that's doing the will of the Lord in sincerity and in truth. Now, this is from PS World 473. I'm going to try and not play the video because YouTube with copyright. But also fair use, fair use. It says the title of his video is bartenders are stunned. Women are now buying men drinks at the bar. Women are asking men out on dates because men, they don't care anymore. They're over it. The nasty attitudes, and no man wants to be a stepfather. The days of the 90s where you had, those R&B love songs, which they were all about Queen of Heaven worship and simping, which simping is a part of the Queen of Heaven worship. In reality, those days are done. They're pretty much almost done. And as we go into the time of Jacob's trouble, the prophecy of Isaiah 4:1, it just keeps on getting clear and more clear and clear. Now, let me get it. Let me get a scripture. And this is prophecy, by the way. But Habakkuk. That's not how you spell it? Oh, my bad. Oh, it started to rain. Damn. Isaiah 2 and verse 3. It says, "And the Lord answered me and said, write the vision, which are the prophecies," because the the prophets like Isaiah, Jeremiah, Daniel receive the prophecies which are future events that are happening right now through visions and dreams. So it says, write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it. So it's being made plain to those that are in the know, brothers that are part of the truth, brothers that repented, and who the Lord, opened up our understanding, our spiritual eyes to really, understand and know the prophecies, right? That he may run that readeth it, meaning to go into action. From brothers woke up, brothers are super excited but also scared that the Lord is literally coming back the next day. So brothers repented, stopped eating shrimp and pork and all that and crab, and stop committing adultery, stop smoking weed, stop going to, Caesar Borgia church, stop being into Islam, whatever brothers were part of before, and just turn back to the Lord, started studying, started doing the work eventually, started teaching. Verse 3, "For the vision, which is the prophecies, is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie." So that means the appointed time is right now. It's like how you set a doctor's appointment like a week from now. Today is Friday. Next Friday at 1 p.m. If you go at next Thursday at 1 p.m., they're going to tell you, no, that's not the appointed time. The doctor will not see you. Come back tomorrow at 1 p.m. So the appointed time, the time set by the Most High for the prophecies to happen, for the events to take place, are right now, concerning the end time prophecies, even though they were written thousands of years ago. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come, it will not tarry. So though it seemed like there was a delay, wait for it, because it's happening right now. It's not delaying anymore. And concerning Isaiah 4:1, it says, "And in that day 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. Only let us to be only let us be called by thy name to take away our reproach. So times are starting to get bad for these women because they're not getting any attention, and attention is the currency of a woman, you know, through her youth and beauty and makeup, and right now BBLs and uh uh having uh fake uh fake silicone, implants to increase the size of her breasts, liposuction, all that's vanity. But women love attention. But in this society before, men had to chase women, but now it's the other way around because we're entering into a time of war. And when wartime happens, women turn into women and men turn into men. And some women, just to stay alive, they they submit to a man, or they uh pu- they turn they turn to being actual harlots, prostitutes, just to survive, you know. And in that day, 7 women, meaning a complete number of women, and this is happening right now. We're in the beginning of it, but it's just gonna get worse and worse. And especially because they're losing their jobs, you know, and the benefits from the government shall take a hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel, eat our own bread, wear our own clothes. Don't worry about feeding us. Don't worry about dressing us. We good with clothes and with food. Only let us be called by thy name to take away our reproach, meaning shame. And how is that? When a woman gets married to a man, she takes on that man's last name, meaning she's now his wife. And what consummates marriage? What what's the stamp of approval of a man and a woman being married is a honeymoon, you know, to where they go somewhere and they sleep together, they have sex. Now, the word marriage or marry means to join. Now, in the ancient world, you did have a marriage ceremony, but once a man, once a man and a woman have, sex, intercourse, they're married, they're joined for life, unless someone commits adultery, right? And that's punishable by death. But in this society, adultery is, that shit's promoted through the music, which is wickedness. To take away our reproach. Now let me get another Bible comparison. Uh AMP says, and in that day 7 women shall take hold of one man, a complete number of women, saying, we will eat our own bread and we will eat our own food and wear and provide our own clothes. Only let us be called by your name to take away our shame of being unmarried. Now, before I get the other one, let me get this. Ecclesiastes 3. Ecclesiastes chapter 3 verse 1. It says, to everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under heaven. Right? So the Lord set things to happen in a certain time and season. For example, certain seasons of the year, that's when certain fruits are harvested. They're planted during a certain time of the year, and then they're harvested, meaning they're picked, and then they're set to eat. So they put them out on the markets. The farmers send them to you know supermarkets, or they send them to the warehouse to be sent to the supermarkets, warehouse of the factories. Whether it may be fruits, oranges, vegetables, something like peppers or scallions or onions. right? Or meat, beef, lamb, chicken, which now Esau has fake meat, which that's going off. You know, he's opposing and exalting himself against the Most High. He's trying to be like the Most High. He's saying regular meat isn't good enough. So here's a fake lab made meat, which that's being a devil. That's being wicked. Verse 3: a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to break down and a time to build up. So right now we're in a time of war. The U.S. and Amalek versus Iran war, it didn't end. It just calms down and then it just heats back up again. You want to know why? I think that, yeah, Isaiah 48 and 2 says, 48 and 22, there is no peace, saith the Lord, unto the wicked. The wicked is Esau, Edom. So Iran has actually, I would say, less advanced like war technology, right? Less advanced missiles, and it costs less to make. But they have newer stuff, but they're not using it yet. So the US and Amalek, they surprised like, yo, why aren't we to defeat these people? You know, US is supposed to be the most powerful military in the world. But you want to know what? The the EU and NATO, they don't want to help them because DJT been dissing them this whole time. There is no peace, saith the Lord, unto the wicked. So this is going to escalate into WW3. It's going to escalate into a nuclear war. Now, let me get back to it. Oh, it started to rain. I got to leave. Ecclesiastes 3 and 8, a time to love and a time to hate, a time of war and a time of peace. Right now we're in a time of war. We're actually in Jacob's trouble, but just the beginning. Let me start to leave because I don't want to get soaked. Uh, so let me ask this a question. During Chat GPT. This is a perfect question for Chat GPT. During just basic and simple. During wartime, what happens to women? Right? Because I just read Ecclesiastes 3 and 8. We're actually in a time of war. During wartime, what happens to women? Uh, uh, During wartime, what ha- what happens to women depends greatly on the conflict, location, military discipline, and whether civilians are protected. Throughout history, however, women have often been among those who suffered the most from war. So a lot of women are going to run to a man of the Lord. It says some of the most common experiences include displacement. Millions of women flee their homes with children and elderly relatives, becoming refugees or internally displaced persons, right? Loss of family members. Husbands, fathers, sons, and brothers may get killed, captured, or go missing because they're usually forced to go fight in the war. If they don't, then they sent to jail. And that's second Esdras, the 15th or 16th chapter. It goes into it. Or the bridegroom shall die in the wars, and they're not going to lament for them. It says sexual violence, RAPE, and other forms of sexual violence have tragically been used in many conflicts as tools of terror, punishment, ethnic cleansing, or domination. So that's all the other countries where it's at. Human trafficking and forced labor. War can increase the risk of women being trafficked or exploited. Food and healthcare shortages. Women, especially those who are pregnant or caring for children, often face severe shortages of food, medicine, and medical care. Economic hardship. With normal employment disrupted, many women become the primary providers for their families. Okay, so you get it, you hear that, right? So, since they're the weaker vessel, they become a target because going into the art of war, I just recently started to watch videos on it, and I want to read the book by Sun Tzu. It says, like one of the principles, one of the rules, it says, attack what's weak. And women are the weaker vessel. Women and children are made the target during a time of war, right? So back to Isaiah 4:1. Let me go back to this video. So right now you start to see a shift, but the gold that these women are going to run to is actually the men of the Lord, brothers of the elect, because the men they're going to die, they're going to be dragged into war through a draft. You know, a lot of things are going to happen, so there's not going to be many men left. So they're going to run to brothers in the truth, brothers that are part of the hopeful elect, because they're going to see that the Lord is protecting us and the Lord is providing food and shelter for us. Even though some brothers are going to be martyrs, but still, that's how the 7 women shall take hold of one man. And it's starting right now, even with regular jakes in the world, regular men in the world. Now she's asking them, can I buy you drinks? And it may not be a skit because that looked way too real. I watched the video before, and every day you see these videos of women complaining. Men aren't paying us any attention. There's even videos of women teaching women of how to get noticed by men or actually talk to men because they're so lonely. And Salaki, let me get this in the NLT set. Wait. What was that? I thought I did something wrong. NLT, in that day, so few women will be left that 7 women will fight for each man. So just like how these women go to a Chris Brown concert and they just lose it just for seeing Chris Brown on stage. You know, these women chase, celebrities if they ever see them in public. It's going to be like that, but I believe way worse because this is life and death. Chris Brown is just an entertainer. He could sing, he could dance, but these celebrities are entertainers, actors. It's going to be way worse because this is going to be life or the grave. And in that day, 7 women, and it says in that day, So few men will be left that 7 women will fight for each man, saying, let us all marry you. We will provide our own food and clothing. Only let us take your name so we won't be mocked as old maids. And I was watching something on YouTube. I think it was about China, and like it's the same thing going on over there. And like it was like an interview of a woman, and they were saying that she's an old maid because, oh yeah, she was crying because she was saying, she's like 30 something. She has a good job. She has her own place, but nobody wants her. Nobody wants to marry her because in China they have a like marriage market where a whole bunch of people get together and they try to get married. Most of the time, their parents try to marry them off. So it says, only let us take your name so that we won't be mocked as old maids. So if you want to go watch this video, but this is serious. But that's the end of the lesson. No. Lord will, it was edifying. All praises, honor, and glory goes to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai.